All right, welcome into this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast. Corey Moen, Evan Byrne. Evan, how we doing?
We're morning still. Not a fun morning.
No, it was not. No, it was not. So if you missed last night's game, which God forbid, I hope you did, Milwaukee dropped a tough one, 121-99. Giannis Antetokounmpo once again did not play. So I guess we'll kind of pop right into it. Jimmy Butler scored 30 points. Evan, what did you see from Milwaukee's performance against Miami last night?
Again, it was obviously with no Giannis. We're hoping guys like Drew, Khris, and Bobby can step up. Even Brook too with points. But when we're looking at that, I'm looking at Drew and Khris.
Yeah.
I saw Khris was the leading scorer, but he had 23. Obviously, that's like a decent scoring night, but in a playoff game without your number one scorer, it's going to need to be a little more than that. He was at least efficient though with his shooting.
Yep.
And Drew Holiday was with his shooting, 8 for 18. But again, it was all the starters and no bench, in my opinion. The only bench player was Pat with 11, and really everyone else didn't do anything.
And that's something you saw similar from game one, where
Yes.
people are scoring, but it's not efficient.
Yes.
And I said, if you're going to win in the playoffs, especially if you're going to get past Miami in the first round, you need to be able to score, obviously, but you need to be able to score efficiently. And the games that Milwaukee has lost this year, it's okay, yeah, for sure. One guy can put up the points, but if it's not efficient, it really doesn't matter. These are just kind of empty numbers here. What I kind of looked for, and I'm kind of looking at the stats right now, is that so Jimmy Butler scored 30, which they just don't have nothing you can do. I mean, do I think that the defense on him could be better at times? Probably, because I'm fine with Drew Holiday guarding Jimmy Butler, but then it's like, okay,
once he gets to the paint, it's like nothing they can do.
No, and I do think our wings are a little slower. Like, I think it's hard to make the argument that Jay Crowder hasn't lost a step defensively, because I think he has. And same with Joe Ingles. I do think both those guys, I don't really think it's fair to ask that both of them could stay in front of Jimmy Butler. But when I look at it, it's like, all right, Jimmy Butler, he's going to have a good playoff performance. But then you get Duncan Robinson, who played like the guy before he got the bag, 7 of 9 shooting, 5 or 6 from 3, 20 points. That just can't happen. And kind of watching last night's game, it just looked like they didn't know Duncan Robinson could shoot. They were, because they know they're going to run a bunch of screens for him. So why was Milwaukee too slow to react to Duncan Robinson shooting? And then Kyle Lowry, too. Kyle Lowry has struggled since he got to Miami. Drops at 15 points and 5 of 10 shooting. It wasn't even specifically like, oh, well, Miami just had a good scoring night and everybody was hot. No, the problem was Milwaukee could not stop turning the ball over. And I think that's where they lost the game.
Yeah, they had 18 turnovers.
That's not winning you a playoff game. It's not. It's not winning you a playoff game on Mars. We could have 5 Hall of Famers, and that's not winning a playoff game. Like, it was frustrating to watch. They were loose with the basketball. And look, everybody can use the excuse, oh, well, they can win without Giannis. Not too many playoff games are we going to be able to win without Giannis.
Yep. They got the lucky one because they were shooting lights out and the Heat weren't. But again, once they let some of these guys score 20 plus, they're not going to win.
Like, game 2 is an aberration. Okay, let me
That's not going to happen every time.
Let me make this abundantly clear. We're not winning this Miami series without Giannis in there. If Giannis misses too many more games, I can't rely on this team to be like, oh, well, they can kind of win 3 more games. I don't think they can. And I understand what Milwaukee's doing because Giannis is our franchise player. Okay? I know everybody wants to see him out there. Okay? And Budenholzer said he's progressing. So I'll take him at his word. However, I'm not saying he's Kawhiing it. I know he's not, okay? Because there's a whole process when a guy like that deals with these types of injuries. Okay, it's a collaborative effort. Okay? It's paying tons. If Giannis said he was good to go, I'm sure he would have played. It's not like the medical staff is just holding him out.
Yeah.
I just think Giannis is saying, I don't feel 100% healthy. So I have to take him at his word. And again, I understand it's a playoffs, but it's also a first round series
against the 8th seed.
Yeah, and but here's the thing with that though. This isn't an ordinary 8 seed. Where it's like this isn't like last year's Chicago Bulls. I said this is going to be a tough series.
Every series in the playoffs, in my opinion, is going to be tough for any team because these 8 seeds it's different with the play-in these days, I should say.
Look, people could say whatever they want. This is still the Miami Heat. Okay, they're still well coached. They still got Jimmy Butler, and they still got Bam Adebayo and a bunch of shooters surrounding them. This isn't your run-of-the-mill 8 seed where you just run them off the floor in 4 games. It's not. Okay, Miami has always given us problems. Okay, and actually this year, the city of Miami has given us problems because they lost all 3 games that they played there so far.
That is true. Yeah,
they lost regular season games back to back, and then now got ran off the floor in a playoff game. It's frustrating, but I hate to say I'm not worried yet. Like if we go down 3-1, then I'll be like, oh shit.
They have to win tomorrow, otherwise they're out.
They're out.
Tomorrow's like a quote unquote elimination game. Like
it's one thing to be down 3-1 in the finals. I mean, really only LeBron James can come back from that. But it's another thing to be down 3-1 in a playoff game. Okay, you got to win tomorrow. Okay, it doesn't anything else doesn't matter. And look, you hope Giannis plays, but if he doesn't, and that's a distinct possibility, I have to believe in the other guys. Okay, I do.
It was like that. If you saw that quote that Drew Holiday had the other day, where it's like, "Hey, if you don't play, we got you." That should be the mentality for every game. Whether he plays or not, if he's having an off day, like, I don't know, he got his back kind of thing, but that should be the mentality every game. And yeah, yesterday they had it on at the game, which made me so mad because I kept wanting to walk over and watch the game. And every time I did, it was just unbearable to watch.
And the other frustrating aspect of this is that Milwaukee went away from what made them successful in game 2. Okay. Why is Brook Lopez only taking 9 shots?
And if Giannis is out, he's your paint guy.
Look, Miami made one distinct change. Is in game 2, they started Duncan Robinson in the starting lineup. Game 3, they went with Kevin Love. I don't care. I don't care if they went with Kevin Love. Okay? You have to give Brook Lopez the ball more. Like, there's no reason why Milwaukee and again, I know they're a 3-point shooting team. Okay, but if it's successful to go to Brook Lopez in the paint in game 1, like, why are they not doing that in game 2? They just chucked up 39 threes, and they made 15 of them, which actually isn't a huge deal because Miami only made 16 of them. But the difference is they were more efficient. They shot 48%. We shot 38. Not going to win you a playoff game.
Yeah, and I think one of the other big things too is what seemed to have worked well in. Obviously, they lost game 1, but worked well with Bobby, is that he just kept shooting floaters and very short mid-range shots. But him and Brook combined only shot 18 shots, while Drew Holiday shot 18 just straight up. So Bobby taking 9 shots and 4 of them being 3-pointers. Now, he's not a bad 3-point shooter, but if he's more locked down in the paint, I feel like they should just go to him too, and Brook as well in the paint, just to have something to rely on because you don't have Giannis for that point.
Another thing I would like to see change for game 4, I'd like to see the bench rotations kind of get shaken up a bit. I would like to see, if you want to give Marjan Beauchamp minutes, fine. Okay. But now I think it's time to go to Goran Dragic.
I do too.
I don't think this is what I was worried about Javon Carter. Okay. This is exactly what I was worried about is I understand he's a good defensive player. Okay. And that kind of stuff works in the regular season. But you can't have that big of a liability on the offensive end. I understand, it's cute. It's nice regular season shots that you can make the transition 3. Okay. But I swear to God, in game one, he took that one transition three. I wanted him off the floor immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Look
yeah,
who
he was 0 for 2.
Look who provided us last night. 0 for 2 in 12 minutes.
Yep. That was 2 assists, and that was his stat line. Everything else was zeros.
Like, what was the point of signing Goran Dragic if you're just going to be like, oh, well, we're still going to go with Javon Carter?
Mm-hmm.
I just test him out. He's a veteran.
Who played on the Heat for the majority of his career.
He knows them. Why is he playing in garbage minutes? He should not be like, no disrespect to him, but he should not be playing with Thanasis Antetokounmpo.
No.
He shouldn't. 4 minute, like, if you don't want to play Myers Leonard, fine. I don't want to play Myers Leonard either. But like Javon Carter, at least,
mm-hmm.
like should be taking a backseat to Goran Dragic. He has veteran playoff experience. Like, I just don't understand why we're signing these like guys to like contracts. Like
not use them.
The funny thing is, we really wanted Goran Dragic.
Mm-hmm. Even last year.
And now all of a sudden he's
here.
And he's here and says, now we're gonna play him like 5 minutes. Dude, really?
5 minutes and we're down 20.
This is the problem I have with Bulldozer. It's just everything seems to be the same to him. Okay, he's just so resistant to change.
And it's weird because he likes the veterans, but won't play our veteran, who again played on the Heat.
Jesus,
and that he wanted ever so dearly.
I mean, I don't understand what. And again, if y'all blame John Horst for this, fine. I just don't know what Mike Bulldozer, when he looks at this. When he looks at this bench, he sees it's like, oh, these guys are going to be able to probably be something.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Ingles only had 5 points yesterday. Now I don't. Now again, am I saying like bench Joe Ingles? No, because he can have a good shooting night. Pat Connaughton at 11, so he's kind of snapping out of it a bit. But outside of that, I mean, Jay Crowder really 5 points, 13 minutes. I mean, Jay Crowder's not providing us anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like he still looks like the guy who took a few months off and is now just getting back into the swing of things.
Yes, I agree.
Like that, like again, do I think Jay Crowder can be good in a featured role or starting? Yeah, but this team's pretty talented, so I don't think we need too much help in that area. Okay?
Yeah, it's almost like Grayson Allen maybe is like, obviously they're not going to like put Grayson Allen on the bench and start like Jay Crowder or Pat over him, but like
Jay Crowder's
or mix it up a little bit. But
the thing is, Grayson Allen's not even the problem either.
Yeah, he's just their only guard. Obviously, Drew Holiday won't, but he 4 for 7. Like again, that was a good shooting night for Grayson. That's just like wasted.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you can't even blame injuries because again, Giannis was out and Wesley Matthews were out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, obviously the big one being Giannis, but I just don't want to. I don't want to use that as a excuse. I don't know. I mean, Budenholzer kind of tried to fire him up by picking up a technical.
Yeah.
So will that carry over to Game 4? I don't know. I have no clue. It's just it was a frustrating game to watch. I did think about you because I was like, oh well, Evan's not.
Yeah, I told myself I was gonna watch it, but like they have TVs around the concourse and like where I have to get all my equipment and stuff, it was on right there, and I caved and I saw the first quarter. I'm like, oh.
And here's a little scheduling note, okay? Because obviously, as you guys know, we're huge Brewers fans. It was hard for Evan not to watch it because it was on both like ABC and
so you could stream out anything. Yep.
So
obviously
like literally, Evan would have had to keep his head down and just not watch for the entire game because they basically just forced you to be like, "Here's a Bucks game."
Yep.
Like,
yeah, there were people like standing and watching a TV. I'm like, usually they play the Brewer game on it. I'm like, why are people all like huddled around? And then I looked. I'm like, oh, great. I caved.
And look, I understand there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be panicking. I'm not going to panic yet.
I'm not going to panic until Game 4 has been played.
No, we're
not down 3-0. We're down 2-1. They just need to take tomorrow's game.
And again, I'm always going to predict the Bucks are going to win. So if they can take control in Game 4, I think that sets them up for Game 5, which, by the way, and we'll get to this in a second, that's going to be played on the green court.
Yes, it looks good.
Yeah.
It's a new design, too.
Yeah, and all right, so all right, so yeah, Game 5, that'll be that'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be exciting. Speaking of the court, because I wanted to get your thoughts on it. So I did notice a couple of subtle changes for the court. Obviously, the logo at center court's different.
Yep.
And both baselines.
Yeah, the baseline used to be like the little like M's for like Milwaukee. I know I have the championship court pieces, but like the different color greens.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like that solid tan or I don't know why I said tan, cream, and then that like the blue baseline, or I don't know if it's the out of bounds line is blue or just like a strip going down like the sidelines.
So I think from what it looks like, it's different on opposite ends.
Okay.
So I think the newer court, the leaked court, as I like to call it, it's a tan court. It's a tan court on one opposite end, and the other side, it's the colors I think are normal, but then it just says Milwaukee.
Yep.
Because it used to be Milwaukee Bucks with the Wisconsin outline in it, but now I think it's just Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know what happened. And me personally, I kind of like what the old baseline looked like better. But I guess the change had to happen because something happened with the paint.
Yeah, the other one cracked, broke somehow, and yeah, it's been a long awaited process to get that new one and not the blue one every game. The blue one's cool with the blue jerseys, but not blue with any other jersey.
I just think to a lot of people, it just looked unnatural.
It did.
It's like, oh well, this is a nice little change. Cause now it feels like everybody always changes up the court.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like when you have to see the blue one every game, it's like, what happened?
Yeah,
it used to be a different court. Not that I would have cared either way, because again, people are better picking up those little subtle differences more so than I am.
Yep.
Because it's green, like however the team plays, I'm fine with it. But I guess it's good to see a new court, a redesigned court, and hopefully Milwaukee can get better in Game 5, which, by the way, starts at 8:00. So whoever wants to stay up to watch that game can do so, because I don't know why they're having it be 8:00 in Milwaukee, and I think a lot of people who want to go to work the next day are complaining about it, but nothing we can do.
Yes.
That we can do. I actually did have one more thing, because this is gonna be a quick podcast. Evan has to leave a little early. So I don't know if you saw the Athletic poll. But they had a poll. It was like 112 NBA players that were polled, like who's the MVP,
yep,
most underrated player, who would you build a team around, which coach you would like to play for, all this other stuff. So, for the most underrated player, they voted for Jrue Holiday.
And I feel like he's been a lot of people have been saying he's been underrated around when the Bucks got him 2 years ago, and maybe like a year or so before or prior to the bubble, just because of the two-way player that he is.
And I've there's been people who have been like, well, Jrue Holiday's not really underrated. I think more so he's being noticed more because he's on a better team. And I guess I do kind of agree with it, because I think people now know how good Jrue Holiday is. Because again, when he was on the Pelicans, I really don't think people realized how good Jrue Holiday actually was
with the players that he had. Obviously, he had Anthony Davis, but that was his like prime injury time.
Yeah, and now that he's with Giannis and Khris Middleton, now it's like, and now he's been on Team USA. It's like, I kind of agree with the other people where it's like I don't really consider Drew Holiday to be underrated anymore. Because I think anytime you go on Team USA, right? You play in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really think you can be considered underrated.
You're probably not. Yeah, you're probably not underrated anymore.
I think people now know how good you are. And it's like, it's like the same argument can be made for Khris Middleton.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do people still consider Khris Middleton like underrated? I think, and now Khris Middleton's been an all-star, so I don't really understand how you could be like underrated. To me is like a person who just gets absolutely like no love.
Yep.
But I think Khris Middleton's like a two-time all-star.
Yeah, two-time all-star NBA champ who like was big in their run, and yeah,
I don't think he can be underrated.
Yeah, they just don't get the respect that they. I think that's more of a not underrated, but just aren't looked at as much anymore.
Like Milwaukee's starting to now get more media coverage, but I don't know. It feels like when the media covers this, it's just like all about Giannis and Giannis this and Giannis that. It's like, some of the other guys could feel like they get overshadowed, but
yeah,
I don't know. For me, I don't really consider Drew Holiday and Khris Middleton to be underrated. Like, I think they're properly rated.
Yeah. Properly rated is the term that people are using now.
Like, I don't know. I think when you're on like an up and coming team, like Milwaukee has been, I guess I could see where they would say they're underrated, but I don't see it personally.
Yeah, if Drew Holiday was putting up the stats that he did on the Bucks on like a team that's like the 10th seed, then you would kind of consider more underrated. But he's on a better team.
Like Mike Conley, I think a lot of people consider Mike Conley to be underrated for years. That I don't even know. I don't think that man had an All-Star appearance. So
I don't think so.
No, so I think people like Mike Conley, it's like, well, he's been putting up consistent numbers for years. He gets like no love, All-Star.
Yeah, he had a teammate known as Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. So yeah, he was the third look.
Even I think it was more so when he was in Memphis, when like he was when he
had true, yes.
When he had like the grit and grind era with like Zebo and Marc Gasol and Tony Allen and all those guys. I think that's Rudy Gay, I guess, for the first few years in his career. But I don't know. Like, I just don't consider those two. I don't consider Drew Holiday to be underrated. So I do agree with other people who would go with either. Because I saw Stephen A. Smith say this. He said Jalen Brunson or De'Aaron Fox. I think those guys would be good guys who would make the list for like guys who are underrated. And then the next one, this one was Bucks related, but who would you rather build a team around? And Giannis won that like going away. Which does not surprise me in the slightest. Because look, there's a lot of people who would love to have Giannis on their team.
Yep.
Okay. But I think we have to chalk it up to good luck to the fact that, the 2013 draft was so bad that Milwaukee essentially had to take on a project.
That worked out.
And it worked out for the better.
Because I think until when he was the first All-Star, I think no one else was an All-Star in that draft until Rudy Gobert got one, which was not too long after. So yeah, that was the Oladipo draft too, where he was like the 4th overall. I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a doozy of a draft.
Yeah, and I think Rudy Gobert went like one after and one before him. So
yeah, something very close.
It was a doozy because Anthony Bennett went number 1 overall. Anthony Bennett, Otto Porter. Let's see, who else? That 2013 draft. Shabazz Muhammad. Former
Gobert was near the end. He was 27th, which is still a steal.
Oh boy, 27. Jesus. One of the guys went after him. Just no talent in 2013. Alex Len, who's
on the Kings right now.
Yeah. Then Nerlens Noel doesn't have a team. So would you build a team around Giannis if you were a GM?
Personally, I would.
Yeah.
It helps with the skill level and his age. I think a lot of people would say like Curry and Kevin Durant and stuff. It's like, yes, but I always just think of like the age aspect of it when they have like 6 years on someone who is at the same level but a little younger, and just the skill set. Obviously, you can still build around Curry and Kevin Durant. But I'll personally take Giannis.
Yeah, and second was Nikola Jokic. Yeah, you can't really build around a center anymore.
Yeah, it's hard to do. I would have thought the second would have been Tatum.
I don't think Tatum was on the list, but he had like so little votes
Interesting.
that I don't know. For them, I think Jason Tatum is like a good building block, but I don't know if it's necessarily somebody you build around. Like I think him and Jaylen Brown are like good running mates. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Jam would be like, if our team was really bad, it'd be like Tatum. He'd be one of those guys that I have to have a good team around him to be like, oh well, this is just like another scorer. But to be honest, it's like I think he would be good anywhere, really.
Put him on any team. Take him to the promised land.
Shoot, I mean, goodness, he would be a good fit for the Raptors. Because they got so many. Because like they got all length but no shooters. So I think Giannis would be a perfect fit in Toronto. I think he would. All right. We're gonna cut this a little early. So Milwaukee plays again tomorrow.
Yep.
6:30, I believe it is.
I don't have a score prediction or anything. I just know that the Bucks got to win if they want to stay alive. They gotta, if they can get the momentum and win tomorrow and go back home and hope to take 3-2, that'll be best case scenario. Worst case is they lose tomorrow. They're down 3-1 and it goes to Game 7.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna do a score prediction because I feel like every time we do one, it always goes completely the opposite.
Yeah, they scored 99 today. I saw the Cavs scored 79 the other day. That's insane. To lose by 20 and you only it's so hard to do these days. Baseball, it's a little different, but like basketball, you could score 140 in the next game you score 98. You never know.
Oh God, and especially against the Miami Heat, who are just the two games the games 1 and 3, they've just ran us off the floor despite not having a good offense in the regular season. Despite the fact they don't have any scorers, apparently that's all they're doing against Milwaukee, which of course, because everybody always has their career games or everybody always has their best performances against the Bucks. No score prediction. I just hope Giannis comes back.
I do too.
I kind of want to bring this up. I'm praying for Victor Oladipo.
I didn't see the injury. I just kind of saw that he hurt his leg. But did he come back into the game? Or was he out? Okay.
No. I think he knows it's a serious injury. He grabbed for his knee right away.
Okay.
And he had to kind of get helped off the court.
Yeah, I like Victor Oladipo. He's just had an unfortunate injury career. That's unfortunate just because he was so good when he was on the Pacers and like near the end of the Thunder.
Yeah, and the sad part about that is he was looking like his old self, like he was in Indiana. But now it's just like, shoot, like another injury, like another rehab for him. So I do, from that standpoint, I'm praying it's not like a serious injury. But as far as Game 4 tomorrow, there's no score prediction for me. Milwaukee just has to win. They have to shut down Jimmy Butler somehow. They haven't been able to do it yet this series, but and he did get a little dinged up yesterday.
Okay.
So he hurt his back and I think he turned his leg. So well, I mean, I think he tried to go back in the game, but it was one of those things where it's like, we're not risking this. Like, if Duncan Robinson is, popping off, that we really don't need you in the game. Which, by the way, please stop Duncan Robinson. I don't understand.
Yeah, could you not do that? Like, kind of rude of him to do.
Yeah, like you just gotta. Kyle Lowry too. I said I wasn't worried about Kyle Lowry. Well, I probably should worry a little bit about Kyle Lowry because he had a big game yesterday.
It's one of those things where do we expect it to happen again tomorrow? Maybe not. But Duncan Robinson, you can always, maybe 5 for 6 from 3 might be a little high to do again. But it's always something to be on the radar for. Jimmy Butler, 4 for 4 from 3. Like, how is he just making threes now? He's never really been a 3-point shooter.
Jimmy Butler, that thing was frustrating because I was watching that game yesterday. Milwaukee did not guard him from the 3-point line.
Because like usually you don't need to. Where it's like if he makes one, cool. But like that's like with DeMar DeRozan, like he's more of the mid-range god, not like a 3-point shooter. So
yeah,
I don't know, man.
I don't either. So Milwaukee's got to win tomorrow. Hopefully Giannis comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Scoring has to be a little more efficient. Shooting the field just has to be a little more efficient. So,
yep.
Yeah, anything else, Evan?
I don't. Bucks and 6. That's the culture that we're looking at right now. Did I want a Bucks and 6 in the first round? I didn't, but let's keep it that way.
Yes, sir. So, all right. Thank you for tuning in. This has been this edition of the Milwaukee Bucks on Tap podcast, and we'll see you guys this week.
Yes, on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Peace.